Despite their deceiving appearance and what their scientific name Pinguinus impennis may suggest, great auks were not at all related to penguins. They actually belong to the alcid family, which includes puffins and razorbills, their closest living relative. As a matter of fact, penguins got their name because of how similar they look to the great auks, because the penguins were discovered afterward. And because of this, great auks are fondly referred to sometimes as the original penguin, even though they're not penguins. These semi-aquatic birds lived on rocky coasts all across the North Atlantic, from eastern Canada to western Europe. They were 30 to 33 inches, or roughly 2.5 to 2.8 feet tall. Black with white chests and spots just above their eyes. They had small, pathetic wings and large hooked beaks with white grooves. And just like the penguins, they were excellent swimmers, said to be the deepest and longest diving bird to ever exist. It is estimated that they could dive as far as 250 feet underwater and could hold their breath for up to 15 minutes. Like other seabirds, they fed primarily on fish, crustaceans, and plankton. Pairs could have mated for life, producing one egg between late May to early June. Great auks were always hunted to some extent, like most animals. There is evidence that great auks were a food source to the Neanderthals 100,000 years ago, which is insane. They also appear to have had a great cultural and spiritual significance to maritime archaic folk, for one such body discovered was buried with more than 200 great auk beaks, believed to have been part of a suit made from their skin. Frankly, this sounds quite familiar to the ivory-billed woodpecker's case, doesn't it? They were highly sought after for a variety of reasons. Their feathers made great fillings for pillows because they were nice and soft. Their fat was used for oil to fuel lamps and whatnot. Their eggs and meat were used as sources of food, and also I think people just like to smuggle eggs anyway in general. And their bodies were sold as specimens to merchants and museums by popular demand. Despite the high demand for these creatures back in the day, only an estimated 80 remain today, which is not very many. The great auks had it rough for the remaining few hundred years of their existence. Their clumsiness on land, their defenselessness, and their lack of fear of humans made them very easy targets. Though, unlike a lot of species I've covered on this channel who don't get some sort of protection status, or they don't until it's far too late, the great auks actually had a few laws made on their behalf. Here's a short visual timeline assembled here. So, as early as 1553, they received the first official protection status in Europe. And this is the Middle Ages, so you know something's up, right? 1775, St. John's, Canada issued a law saying, basically, if you kill a great auk for any other reason than for fish bait, you will get publicly flogged, meaning beaten with a stick or a whip for everyone to see. So Canada wasn't messing around. 1794, Great Britain banned the killing of great auks for its feathers. Clearly, these laws only stop people so much, right? I mean, we know how things turned out. That's why we're talking about them on the Extinction Channel, right? People still went out of their way to hunt them down. By the early 1800s, great auks were starting to become rare, and rarity only made the rich Europeans want to buy specimens even more. Sort of like having a rare collectible, which led to more hunting. Each bird was worth $16 US, which back then was almost a year's salary worth of money. Let's not forget throwing natural disasters into the mix. A volcanic eruption in March of 1830 caused even more death and destruction to the already suffering population of birds off of Iceland. In July 1840, the last bird in the British Isles was captured alive by 3 fishermen. However, it was beaten to death with a stick after a storm, believing it to have been a witch who caused it. perfectly reasonable. Oh my god. Anyway, then July 3rd, 1844, that fateful day, 3 men arrived on Eldey Island at the request of a merchant. 2 of these men strangled the nesting pair. The third squashed the egg beneath his boot. 2 generations, as well as any hope for the species' survival, died that day. A lot of these people don't realize that they're the last creatures to exist, but still. There was a sighting reported in 1852 on the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, and it's said to be accepted by the IUCN, but this is kind of debated. Either way, though, the great auks are indeed gone. So thank you for watching this lecture. I hope that you learned something new and that you can have an appreciation for the great auks now. And I will see you in the next video.